This video focuses on managing vendors in QuickBooks Online, and I have accessed QuickBooks Online, this client file, from QuickBooks Online Accountant. On the left panel, you'll see vendors. When you click on it, you'll see your list of vendors here. And you can sort the list by how many vendors have an actual purchase order open. So you could go create a bill from this if you want to, or view the purchase order. Same with any vendors that have open bills. How about vendors that I'm overdue paying on? And then the 7 vendors I paid in the last 30 days. And I can go ahead and clear that filter to view all. The batch action that's available is to send an email to your vendors. And of course, I can sort by name or by company or by balance. And I can do a quick search here on a vendor just by quickly typing in some letters. As well as I can print out the vendor list, send it to Excel, and adjust some of the columns. There's only a few columns that I can add, but like address, email, or currency, or uncheck them if I want, as well as display rows by 50, 150, or 300. You can also include any vendors I've made inactive. You can then just drill down into a vendor for the respective vendor center. Here are all the vendor transactions, whether it's a purchase order, check, bill, or some kind of credit card expense, cash expense, anything written against this vendor. And of course, I can come in here and do some batch actions like printing or categorizing selected, as well as showing what type of transactions that I want to look for on this particular vendor. And I can actually create vendor transactions from here. Please check out my other expense and accounts payable video on the QuickBooks University site. Here's what a vendor record will look like. I'll just click Edit. You can put in the contact information, the company name, what you want to display it as, or print on the check as, the address, email, phone. So typical fields that you would remember from desktop or really any other accounting software. Here's where terms would be, or billing rate, because QuickBooks Online Plus does support time tracking. So you could have a billing rate for this vendor could be a subcontractor, let's say. Opening balance, although we don't want to put it here because we don't want to affect opening balance equity. Any account number and the tax ID. If they're a 1099 vendor and you have QuickBooks Online Plus, you would check that box and put in the tax ID information. And then, of course, if you have multi-currency turned on. As I said, you can make a vendor inactive like you can a chart of account or an item, product and service or a customer. Basically, it just makes it inactive, and deleting it would make it inactive as well. Now, in the upper right of the vendors list, you can add a new vendor, which will bring up that window we were looking at before when I was editing, the Adobe Systems vendor there. You can also import vendors or connect to vendors through our Commerce Network. And then here would be the 1099 or to go to pay bills. Related reports, if I go to reports and then all reports, review expenses and purchases, which have to do with vendors, obviously, transaction list by vendor, vendor contact list. Those are the 2 key vendor reports there, or expenses by vendor summary, as well as managing accounts payable. And of course, the vendor balance detail report is always an important one. We are updating the overall look of reports in the redesigned report section, so these will be updated as well. But for right now, at the time of this video, here's my vendor balance detail report. So obviously, just like with customers, you can manage your vendors here as well as all vendor related transactions. So please look for another video on managing accounts payable as well as other expense type transactions on the QuickBooks University site.